The biggest jumps in fitness progress weren't from me adding more. It was actually from me doing less. There's a huge temptation when you're passionate and in the fitness industry, which you're learning about new variables. You're finding out things about volume, frequency, and intensity. You're learning about strength curves of different exercises and which things bias the biomechanics of this muscle versus that muscle. You're finding out the different benefits of having a higher fat approach in your diet, of having a higher carbohydrate, protein, whether to have your meals later in the day, early in the day, fasting, non-fasting, high fat, low carb, vice versa. There's a bunch of different variables and they're all interesting, and there might be some truth where a bunch of these approaches might apply in different situations for different people, but even these approaches can work for the same person. And it can be really tempting to want to apply a bunch of these things at once, but there is a bit of a flaw there. When you are changing multiple variables at once, you would struggle to decipher what led to some progress or lack of it. So I added, for example, you're doing squats in your plan and you also decide to add leg press. And you've chucked in 3 sets of leg press and now you are not progressing. Are you not progressing on your squats because there is too much volume because you just added 3 sets of leg press? Is because the skill technique of the leg press takes away from your skill acquisition of the squat? Is it because of the overall mental burden from doing 3 extra sets of leg press is affecting your ability to approach those sets of squats with extra tenacity because you're more mentally burnt out? Is it a thing where it's now affecting your joints around your hip flexors, a common thing for heavy leg press, so now you can't get into a deep range in your squats confidently, or without a longer warm-up routine, which takes away time from the workout, which cuts down your rest time? I just made up a scenario on the spot there. But you can see how you adding one thing can have multiple different effects. Now, if you combine changing multiple things, 1 week is pause squats, 1 week is not. 1 week I'm having a big bowl of rice for lunch, another one I'm doing potatoes. It can be handy to know in a general sense of what you can adhere to. That is great, and it's a variable I would really encourage people to look into over time, but that best works with just applying one thing at once. The key thing is to not be manipulating things that affect the main variables of what actually matters. You can play around with different snacks, food strategies, and timing throughout the day. You don't want to mess with your calorie balance in the way that actually allows you to get to the body weight and strength or fat loss goals that you want. You can add in different exercises to your plan, but you don't want to take it away from those big compound lifts that the progression that are the ones that correlate with the changes in the physique that you want. You need to make sure these big things are still being preserved and not being interrupted and sabotaged by you playing around with the smaller variables. Because sometimes those small variables can actually affect the main variables that actually matter. So the enthusiasm can be a bit of a net negative there. Another thing is there's so much information, should I have creatine, should I not, just there's so much, where the noise can be tiring and affect the tenacity to affect or really go after the effects that actually matter. And I just encourage you, first thing, just decrease the noise, simplify. Sometimes it's hard to know which variables matter the most. Again, it's a good reason to reach out for coaching because I can tell you where to direct your focus and where not to, because we've only got a certain amount of energy. We've only got a certain amount of time in the gym. We've only got a certain amount of time to meal prep, only a certain amount of food we can fit in our belly to make sure we're getting the right effects from our diet. And it's worth just discerning and zooming on the things that actually help the most and not spending extra time and resources towards stuff we don't, because we don't have infinite time. We don't have infinite resources. We don't have infinite energy. We've got other commitments in our life, and it's just better to focus on the things that actually matter. So what I'd say to do instead is master the basics, then make sure the variables you are changing line up with just good evidence-based practices that don't interfere with the prime variables that lead you towards where you want to go, and then see if they're adherable. Give it some time. Very often in people's fat loss check-ins, I will say don't change a variable for a week. And the next week is the week where the delayed paychecks tends to come and hit their account. Or they just need to feel a mistake, crap, I really couldn't go without lunch because I end up acting like a complete tit at 4 p.m. You can only learn that via action. The real lesson, and this ties to the actual main thing, is not what can work best on paper with changing and manipulating variables, is what actually affects your actions. So the ideal protocol will combine the what looks good in paper, lines up with physiological principles that we need to adhere to get towards your goals, but lines up with the human action element, the praxeology, the what you can actually stick to. So I'd encourage you guys, if you are out there and you're really interested and love this thing, or you're just deciphering a bunch of fitness information left, right, and center, to actually zoom into what are the variables that matter, not changing much, seeing what you can stick to, and using the lessons from your own approach to zoom into what are the best things to plug your gaps. Because the gaps online might apply to you, they might not. So let's have a good zoom in this next week onto what actually led to some good progress, and even the next month in the gym with your gym performance, what led to some good progress, what didn't, and only very slightly tweaking one variable at a time. Don't change too much, it'll ruin your progress.